The inside game is a union strategy of working without a contract while pressuring the employer to agree to an acceptable settlement. The inside game is sometimes used to prepare for a strike.
What we used was a strategy called the inside game, which was a campaign of internal resistance based on shutting off the flow of profits and weakening the company from within. At the time the contract ran out in 1987, it would have been suicidal to strike. There was a lot of debate on the union side as to which was a better way to go, the inside game or the strike. And I think the truth was that neither one was better, they were just different. That what we needed to do was use the inside game to weaken the company, to drag things out until the situation changed, until it was favorable for us to strike. The workers discovered that despite the intractability of management and negotiations, they weren't left without a recourse, that what they did on the job or what they didn't do on the job had an effect on management that forced management to make repeated concessions and negotiations even without a strike. There was a recent history in 1987 of a number of very high-profile strikes that had been beaten very badly. We took this as a warning that striking could be very dangerous under the wrong circumstances, and that we realized that given the workload at NASSCO and the very hostile environment in San Diego, that October 1987, the expiration date of the contract, would have been a terrible date for us to strike. In fact, the outcome of strikes at Solar and General Dynamics were very much in our minds when the decision was made not to strike, but to go with the in-plant strategy. It was very difficult to call a strike. One of the problems with the inside game is that you never know when it's over, because one day is pretty much like the next. It took quite an effort on the part of the leadership of the unions to determine that the time was really right for striking, and then also to convince the membership that the time was right for striking. One of the advantages of the inside game was that you could wage a campaign of resistance that required less of a sacrifice on the part of the membership, that no matter how militantly they were involved in the negotiation process, they were still getting a paycheck, they still weren't going through the hardship and uncertainty of a strike. And to a certain extent, the members, as time went on, became sort of satisfied or comfortable in that position. And they realized that they were hurting the company, that they were making gains at the negotiating table. And at times it was very difficult for them to accept that we'd come to the end of the line with the in-plant strategy, that it was time to call the process to a close and to come up with something decisive that was going to resolve things once and for all. There has to be an understanding that striking is still the ultimate weapon. We did not resort to a strike immediately. We used it in conjunction with the inside game. And I think we used it right, because you have to see these things as two tools that are suitable for different circumstances. What we did is we embarked on a campaign which ended up going on for 11 months, and they were a very horrible 11 months. Of ferocious inside resistance against the company and against the implemented proposal. We opened up veins all over NASSCO and let it bleed blood. And by the end of that 11-month period, we had weakened the company to the point where they were facing going out of business if they didn't deal with us and they didn't settle with us. It was that circumstance that made the time right for us to strike. When that time was right, we did it, and we won a lot of the things that we needed. Okay, so I think the lesson that I would want to point out to people is that as hostile as the environment is in the 1980s, that the strike is still the ultimate weapon, but the thing is that the hostility of the environment makes it more important than ever that your timing be correct on a strike.